Victor and Beth Edwards. You know, a lot of people have been saying that this is the best Petite in the room, and I don't really like to race wine like horses, but you know,
giddy up!
Can I try a little snort here? I sure like this stuff too. Again, you know, pretty wimpy. Boy, oh boy, that sure's got some great aromas to it. So you guys are in, what is it, the Ramona
Valley AVA.
It's real high altitude though, right?
Yeah, it's San Diego County. We're inland, and we're up. We're a high valley.
So south of Temecula?
South of Temecula
by about an hour.
Well, is it the same kind of shtick where you have the ocean breezes coming in?
We do.
So you got your own equivalent of the Rainbow Gap, some kind of...
Oh yeah, we have a gap where we have a couple of gaps actually in our valley, and the onshore drift just comes in and cools everything down. We actually are the easternmost area of the AVA.
How far from the ocean?
We are a good hour's drive.
Oh yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And we're about 20 minutes through the Ramona Valley AVA.
But throughout most of the growing season, the onshore drift will come up.
And it'll just kiss our vineyard, but not really come in, and
it doesn't cover us. It comes up about a half a mile before us, and then it stops.
Well, here's
so we get a little bit of cooling effect, but we don't get the moisture.
Without the moisture in the rock.
Here's the part that I don't understand about this wine is everything you've told me so far, and I'm sure you have really good drainage up where you are, and but this wine is so richly fruity, and the tannins are so fine, and you know they support that fruit, but they don't get in the way at all. So, can you speculate on how much of that is terroir and how much of that is winemaking?
Oh my gosh! Well, I would never give him all the credit because it would go to his head.
Yeah.
My husband.
Okay. All right. So lie to me. I understand. For the family, it's the thing to do.
I think terroir varies a bit, but you know we have a sandy loam. Where Temecula, I think we're about the same inland area. A little more south. We have a little bit more loam, a little bit more.
Well, I would have guessed more water availability because this reminds me a little of the Sassoon wines in the finesse, but it also. But the fruit is definitely that red fruit, that high altitude white cherry pomegranate kind of thing.
Making us pick. He doesn't go by the numbers. You know, he'll read his bricks and he'll go through. You know the UC Davis measurements for making a good batch of wine. But if it doesn't taste like the wine he wants to produce in the vineyard, we don't pick. And we've even called off picking. We've had people, our friends, help us pick. They've come up to pick, and he said, no, we're not doing it today.
So are you partly resolving the tannins through hang time, or are you doing some of the things Kincannon talked about this morning where you're pulling it off sweet or fermenting it cool, or how do you do it?
We ferment this, we keep it in the fermenters until it's basically dry. I'll wait until the cap just about sinks.
What kind of temperature?
I'm not opposed to having to go up to about 92, 95.
Oh yeah, okay. So that ought to do it.
In ideal situations, I like to start at 55 to 60.
So you kind of get a cold soak there.
Yeah. Oh well, this was cold soaked for 24 hours.
Any whole berry or partial whole berry?
Partial whole berry.
Yeah,
no stems,
so that's
leaves.
pulling up the fruit a little.
Yes.
I like California style. I like big fruit. I like to be able to identify the oak without the oak over.
See, I wouldn't call this California style at all because it's very graceful. You know, it's not an impact wine at all. It's not trying to impress me. It's trying to seduce me. And to me, that's much more European.
Well, my philosophy is I like to make wines that bigger wine on the softer style. So maybe that falls into what you're tasting too.
What do you think this wine will do with age?
Oh gosh, it'll improve. I think it'll improve.
should continue
It'll
fine
keep-
for a number of years. We have stuff.
You know, just
We have
rounding
old
out the
94
edges
wines that are
and-
still tasting really nice that were grown in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have.
What do they do? Do they get bottle bouquet and complexity?
Yeah, I think the edges get smooth. You know, Petite Sirah has some tannins. This is pretty smooth. It's an 04 though, so it's got some rough edge smoothing already. But I think it continues to just smooth. And I like your word seduce. You know, I like that.
Absolutely.
It pairs well with food.
See, I think this is almost a feminine wine, and because it doesn't try to bowl you over. It's just.
Like I said, I like to make wines on the bigger, softer side. As far as how our wines do, depends on whether it's a big year or a cooler year. Wines I didn't like when they were younger, like say the 98, which was a cooler year. Now when you taste it, it's wonderful. The 97, which was a big, fruity year, great the first couple of years. Now it's kind of not as intriguing. So every year is a little different, and the variations in the vintage that you have up here, we also experience that down in San Diego County. Believe it or not, if it's a big year up here, it's a big year down there. If it's a warm year up there, it's a warm year down here. So it's sort of throughout the state. It's sort of some of those characteristics.
Well, I guess that's part of what the terroir is all about, is expressing those vintage differences.
Yeah.
Well, the climate
It's
does
definitely a
what the
reflection
climate
of
does
farming.
that year.
Well, you guys have been hiding out quite effectively for apparently 20 years or something.
Well, we've only just decided to turn a hobby and love and passion into something more. This is our first offering commercially, so
You've completely lost your minds. Well,
we have.
I wish
We're
you.
bonded, licensed, and certifiable.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, thanks a lot. It's
Thank you.
wonderful stuff.